What happened, Washington? How the hell does that team take my Birds into overtime, nearly defeating them, give them a scare, and get their asses kicked by the Chicago Bears, the 0-4 Chicago Bears? This season makes no sense anymore. Like, it's one of those years. Throw logic out the window. It don't matter. It don't matter. Like, just forget all the analytics, forget all the statistics. It just doesn't, nothing makes sense. It's like, how that happened? Did Washington forget to leave Philadelphia? They must have. Commanders must have had big heads, thinking like, well, we should have beat the Eagles. We took them to overtime. So Bears shouldn't be a problem. It's in our house. And I was shocked to learn that there was actually a sold-out game in FedEx Field. When's the last time there was ever a sold-out game in FedEx Field? Were fans really that hyped? Do the Washington fans really think the Commanders were going somewhere this year? Or are they just excited because they're no longer owned by Dan Snyder? The wicked prick of the North. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, they got out to they started out 2-0. So at the least, you thought they could be at least a playoff contender. But man, wow, a sold out game. Really thinking highly of yourselves. Well, probably not after that night. I mean, fans were booing that team, and rightfully so. At the half, they were down by 24 points. But, of course, I'm sure every Chicago fan thought better of it, thinking like, I mean, I watched Tom Grossi's video about the Bears fan versus the Commander fan, and, pretty much he summed it up like, you can't get excited about this. They led like 28-7 against the Broncos and blew it. Well, apparently, I guess the death of Chicago Bears legendary Hall of Fame linebacker Dick Butkus, who tragically passed away on the same day at the age of 80. So maybe it was the spirit of Dick Butkus that frightened the Chicago Bears current team, saying, like, you knew what a monster he was back in the heydays of, like, was it the 40s or the 50s? No, it was the 60s. Well, I wrote down a few things about Dick Butkus, so let's have a little tribute to, like, one of the best, if not probably, the quintessential of linebackers in National Football League history. So Dick Butkus, as y'all know, passed away in his sleep at the age of 80 in his California home. Not really sure what the overall cause of death was, but it's irrelevant. He passed away, and he lived a very full life. And come to learn that this guy's roots were all Chicago. This guy played for a Chicago high school. He played at the University of Illinois. And let's see. Oh, yep, here it was. Yep. Oh, I overlooked this one. He was born in Chicago. So, yeah, he's a true Chicagoan through and through. Born in 1942. So, this guy grew up after the effects of World War II. Thank goodness for him. Played for the University of Illinois from 1962 to 65. Drafted by the Bears in 1965. Played for them until 1973. Injuries cut his career short. And was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1979. Dick Butkus is a 5-time first-team All-Pro. 8 Pro Bowl honors. 22 interceptions total. 27 fumble recoveries. One of them he took to the house for a touchdown. His 49 total takeaways are second in Bears history. and he even kicked a few point afters and kickoffs. And he's a member of the NFL's 100 all-time team. Butkus. Now, the Butkus Award began in 1985 and to this day is awarded to the best linebacker at the high school, college, and pro levels. So this guy is a big freaking deal when it comes to the defensive position. And remember seeing highlights of Dick Butkus playing back in those days? It's like, one, he was a tall son of a gun. I mean, this guy was a bear, a real bear. So it's fitting that he played for the Chicago Bears throughout his entire NFL career. Sadly, though, never got a chance to win a championship, as the Bears' last NFL title was 1963, 2 years prior to him being drafted by them, and they didn't win their first and only Super Bowl to this date until 1985, 12 years way after his career was over. But, you know, he's still a Hall of Famer. He's got highlight reels, has an award named after him that goes to all three levels of, you know, professional football, if you can call high school and college professional. I mean, it's where they start, right? I mean, Pop Warner. I mean, can you imagine the Dick Butkus Award getting awarded to a peewee football player? I mean, why not? You know, hey, if the kid kicks the other kid's ass, let him be rewarded for it. So, is it any coincidence that the very day he passes away, the Bears win their first game in nearly a year? Come on. That's just too coincidental. Like the Bears coaching staff probably said to them, okay, guys, listen. There's a good chance that the ghost of Dick Butkus is going to haunt our dreams. He is literally going to kick your ass in your sleep if we don't start winning football games, because I'm sure this man is tired of the Bears being a joke, when once upon a time the Chicago Bears, much like the Raiders back in the day, were a well-feared and respected organization. But unfortunately, both Chicago and the Raiders refused to evolve, so that's why they're continuing to suck and be left in the dust. But not Thursday night. Thursday night was all Chicago from start to finish. Like, I was literally shocked. I'm like, wow. Like, the Bears are kicking ass. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because again, they blew that 21-point lead of the Broncos. So, not this time, though. This time, the Bears finished strong. Recapping that game real quick, Justin Fields looked phenomenal. Didn't have a single turnover in that game. Looked absolutely confident. The Bears finally figuring out that, hey, you know, you went after DJ Moore for a reason. You gave up the first overall pick for him for a reason. Now they're starting to utilize him. It only took about, a quarter of the way into the season to think, well, we got one of these top tier receivers in the NFL. Let's see if we can't put him to some good use. And here he got a hat trick in touchdown passes. 3 on the night. Him and Justin Fields hooked up 8 times. Moore had a total of 230 yards, a career high. 137 of them in the first half alone. Justin Fields had 4 total touchdowns. He went 15 of 29 for about 282 yards. The Bears defense, again, getting an uplift from the Spirit of Butkus. This time finished strong, not allowing the other team to come back. Sam Howell and his efforts was 37 of 51 for 388 yards, 2 touchdowns, but a crucial interception. And the Bears also forced a fumble recovery and had 5 sacks on the night. So, bear down, Chicago Bears. Like, I even put on one of my dad's Bears jerseys just for support. It was Walter Payton, another legendary Bears who passed away before his time. So, there you go, Dad. I know he'd be happy. I mean, holy crap. I couldn't believe when the experts pointed out that the Bears were nearly going on a year without winning a football game. I was like, what? That's like, you're telling me after how they started out last season, they went winless the rest of 2022? Like, I really didn't pay any attention to that. So now maybe it'll be the opposite. They start out lousy, and now maybe might get on a bit of a hot streak. We'll see, though. I mean, it's a long season to go. And the way the Lions are playing right now, yikes. But then again, I think this is going to be one of those years where you think you might know something and you think you might have it figured out, and we don't know jack diddly squat. But, well, that's my take for the Bears win over the Commanders. I'm happy for the Bears, as my dad, God rest his soul, longtime Bears fan, get their first win of the 2023 season. So now Chicago is no longer the worst team in the league. The baton has been passed on to the Carolina Panthers, who are still winless. And add salt to that wound, former Panther DJ Moore finally coming into his own in Chicago. Oh, the poor Panthers. And you got your young quarterback in Bryce Young, who now is watching CJ Stroud. And Anthony Richardson? Oh, my God. I'm blanking on the Colts quarterback. I want to say it's Anthony Richardson. If I'm wrong, call me out. So, yeah, there's his rookie counterparts giving hope to their teams. I mean, the Texans and the Colts have a very good chance at taking the AFC South now because the Jaguars aren't looking as dominant as I thought they might be, but it's still a long season to go. Now, the only other game I really want to dive into for tomorrow is pretty much my Eagles. I mean, I'll probably give my picks on who I think is going to win. And, well, you know what? Let's do that. We'll come to my Eagles later. Let me flip back and give you the rest of my picks for who I think will win tomorrow in Week 5 of the 2023 NFL season. Well, originally I had the Commanders winning the other night. That didn't happen, but I'm glad still. We have another London game. At this point, the Jaguars might as well just move to London. I think it's ludicrous. I don't think the idea of an NFL team shouldn't even be aforementioned. Like, again, I can't stress this enough. If Roger Goodell and the greedy rich owners really want NFL American football over there that bad, then just restart the NFL Europa League. Plain and simple. I mean, granted, yeah, it'll probably just be another failed experiment because nobody's going to care. Because with the success of the XFL and the USFL, now they're merging into one league, so that's going to be interesting. I don't think the NFL Europa would have a shot in hell. I really don't. So anyway, well, the interesting part about this series is that the Jaguars are now the road team in this contest. And here come the red-hot Buffalo Bills, who are just kicking the living shit out of everybody now. Don't know where this was Week 1 when they lost to the Aaron Rodgers-less Jets, but I think that loss ignited the flame, and now get out of Buffalo's way because they're on a mission and they're out to just shut everybody up once and for all. So could this be Buffalo's year? Time will only tell. But don't let yourselves fall into a trap, Buffalo. You're getting hot, but eventually the flames have got to cool off. But I don't see it happening, not against the Jags. So the main thing is, can the Jaguars avoid a whooping? The Bills are top 5, and let's see. The Bills are top 5 and top 10 in almost every defensive category except for rushing. They're 20th ranked overall when it comes to defending the run. So there you go, Jaguars. If you can just keep the ball on the ground and keep it out of Josh Allen's hands, you might actually pull an upset here. All right, Giants versus Dolphins. I mean, Giants did come back on the cards. The Dolphins got exposed big time by Buffalo. And I've already said, this is a season where logic just doesn't matter. But I'm still going with Miami. I mean, oh my God, the New York Giants are just a red-hot mess. It's like everybody was bashing on the Bears. No, like the New York Giants are probably like one of the top 5 worst teams in the league this year. I mean, I tell you what, I think there's going to be a major fire sale for New York come next season, or come this offseason. This is a tough one. Moving on, this next matchup's a tough one to pick. This is literally a coin flip game. Saints versus Patriots. I mean, I looked at the statistics, and these teams are a mirror image of each other. Both, like, not very high-octane offenses, very stingy defenses. I think the Saints are the majority favorite, but I'm going to lean toward the Patriots. 1, for the home field advantage. 2, it's Bill Belichick. I mean, you got to give it to the master. You got to give it to the mastermind. So, I'll give the Patriots the edge in this one. But again, it's a coin flip, so it could really go either way. Texans versus Falcons. I don't know if Ritter's going to start this game. I know there's talk about benching him. But I'm going to favor the Texans because CJ Stroud and company are red hot right now. And the Falcons, just aside from Bijan Robinson, just don't really have the offensive firepower, I think. But it would really come down to their defense versus that Texans O-line, which is almost non-existent. Ravens versus Steelers. Pickett is questionable with a knee injury last I heard. The Ravens, of course, have the defense, but so do the Steelers. And when it comes to Ravens and Steelers games, it's always about the defenses and it's low scoring. So even though the Ravens are still plagued by injuries, doesn't really seem to matter. They're still finding ways to win. I'm going to give the edge to them. Mainly just because of the inconsistency of the Steelers' offense. If they're going to win this game, it's going to be by their defense. And we already know their defense can win them games. Just ask Cleveland. All right, moving on. So remember earlier I said the Panthers are now the worst team in the league? I think that trend's going to stay on for another week. I think Carolina's going to go 0-5, and I say that because they're going to Motown to face the Red Hot Lions, the new kings of the North. What is special about this Detroit Lions team? I'll say one thing. They got a lot of moxie. They got a lot of swagger. They've got a lot of attitude. Like, this is a team that's playing with a message of, we are done. We are done taking shit from everybody. This is a franchise that has suffered for a long time. And, it's a debate between Lions fans and Browns fans. Which team has had it worse? Cardinals fans could probably get in on that, but this is an argument strictly between Lions and Browns fans because you've had both franchises have winless seasons. I think the Browns did it twice. Not to mention, the Browns fans had to go 3 seasons without Cleveland Browns football in the late 90s. You all know about that story. But the Lions, I gotta admit, I'm not a fan of the swagger. I'm not a fan of this, I'm not a fan of we're the new bullies of the North attitude they're portraying. It's like, I get it. Them and their fan base, they want payback. They want justice. They want recognition for all the years of mockery, futility, shortcomings, whatever else I can throw in there. But that's not the Lions. everybody likes an underdog. Everybody likes to root for the underdog. And this is a team playing like they're not an underdog. Yes, they have a chip on their shoulder. But there's just something about it that I just don't like. Getting too big for your britches. Now, hey, you know what? They could probably run the table, and I'll eat my words. But I'm just going to put it out there. I don't think the Lions should be getting this far ahead of themselves. Because their history speaks against them. Now, if they can run the table and back it all up, and I see a Lombardi trophy, and I see them hoisting the Lombardi trophy by the end of the season, then all right. I gladly eat my words. But I don't know, Detroit. Are you really ready? Are you really ready? Do you think your team is ready to do what's never been done before in Lions history? We shall see. With all that being said, I picked Lions to beat the Panthers. Titans at the Colts. Hey, remember earlier I couldn't remember if it was Anthony Richardson? I got it right here on my notes. It is Anthony Richardson. And he's going to lead the Colts to another win because the Titans suck. I don't care if they still have Derrick Henry. Because they still have freaking inconsistent Tannehill. Yeah. What else does Tennessee have that's worth mentioning? As far as I'm concerned, nada. Nada. So, yeah, they stunned the Browns the past week, 27-3. I don't know how, but I still don't think Titans are going to do anything. Colts. Okay, now we get to my birds. The Eagles at the Los Angeles Rams. So, of course, right now the Eagles are favorite, but that don't mean nothing. I already can see this game is going to be a dogfight because Fletcher Cox has been rolled out. So there's a huge loss. One of the offensive linemen's out. There's another huge loss. The Rams got Aaron Donald, and Cooper Kupp has been activated for the game. So here you got this rookie sensation in Puka Nacua, who's on my fantasy team, thank God. Not to mention a plethora of other receivers. Now you got Kupp coming back into the mix. And the Eagles are 27th in the league at defending the pass. So, son of a bitch. But thankfully, Matt Stafford is turnover prone. And the Eagles have like the second best rushing attack in the league. I think I saw in the statistics, and the Rams don't do well defending the run. So there we go. Brian Johnson, there's your game plan. Establish the run. Get Swift the ball. And trust Jalen Hurts to use his legs, which he can. He's been smart about keeping himself safe from, any serious injury. So trust Jalen Hurts with the ball. Brian Johnson. Do you understand? All right? This is the 5th week. And I swear to God, if I see the Birds make any kind of bonehead plays or calls, like I will call off work for the rest of the week. I will come down to Philly and I will kick your ass. Now, one thing of note. The one nice thing that's going to happen while the Eagles are in SoFi Stadium to play the Rams. Let me just turn over to it here. Here we go. During halftime in the Rams-Eagles game, former Eagles and Rams head coach Dick Vermeil is going to be honored at the half. Now, as you all know, Dick Vermeil, once upon a time, was the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles and the then St. Louis Rams. He is currently 86 years old. He's been retired from the game for, quite a long time now. I think his last stint was with the Kansas City Chiefs from 03 to 05. And since then, the guy has pretty much been laid back and reaping the rewards. His roots actually began in L.A. as a Rams assistant coach for 4 seasons. And then he was the head coach for UCLA So I didn't know any about that. I just remember Dick Vermeil being hired by the Eagles in 1976, led the Birds to their first ever Super Bowl appearance in 1980. Unfortunately, we all know it came up short against the Raiders, and then followed the Vermeil burnout. And he was out of football for quite a long time. Did some work as a TV analyst till finally he decided to give it one more stint. 1997, becoming the St. Louis Rams head coach. And of course, we all know, led to the invention of the greatest show on turf with Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt. I mean, I could go on. I mean, that was a hell of a team back then. And it won the franchise's first ever Super Bowl, which Dick Vermeil stepped down from afterwards. And so, several years later, Vermeil got his just dues as he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame last year. So now he will be honored by both clubs. And so now he will be honored during that game at halftime. And how fitting both clubs are there. So that was a pretty nice gesture by the NFL and the Rams. So that's pretty cool. Way to go, Dickie V. Philadelphia still loves you, baby. All right, back to the picks. Let's see. Bengals versus Cardinals. What's wrong with the Bengals? What the fuck is wrong with the Bengals? And I asked that because Joe Burrow's on my fantasy team and he ain't doing shit for me. What is going on? Is it the calf injury? It must be. Because Joe Burrow does not look like Joe Burrow. You got all these weapons on Cincy's offense and it's just not clicking. I don't get it. And the way the Cardinals are playing right now, Kyler Murray better start looking for a new job because Arizona may be looking to move on from him if they keep this up. With that being said, I'm going to pick the Cardinals to beat the Bengals. Alrighty. Moving on. Chiefs versus Vikings. Chiefs. Because, granted, yes, Kansas City has been just as sluggish as the Eagles have been. So it seemed like both teams kind of wore themselves out in the Super Bowl and are still trying to find their footing. But Kansas City, like the Eagles, is still winning ball games. And unfortunately for the Vikings, well, you're the Vikings. Try as hard as you will. Now, instead of winning the close games, you're losing the close games. Could they still beat the Chiefs? Yeah, it's there. Possibilities there. But I don't see it. My gut says the Chiefs. This is a game I would really rather watch than even my Eagles-Rams, and that's saying something. Jets versus Broncos. Both 1-3, both hard on their luck this year. Jets maybe more so without Aaron Rodgers. But, yeah. Both these teams have still had interesting seasons so far. Despite the fact that, everything's going against them, people still talk about them because just the way the season's playing out for them is like made for TV and stuff. So you know what? Since these two teams have been having it rough this year, let's have something really wacky happen to the both of them. And I hope Brandon Perna hears about this. I want the Jets and the Broncos game to end in a tie. Why? Just because. I think that would be fitting to both these clubs and the wacky year they're both having. So let's have the Jets and the Broncos end in a tie. Let's see. Should it be a low-scoring tie? I think it should be, because the Jets have a stingy defense. I'll say 19 all in overtime. Jets and Broncos. Let's see it happen. All right. We're down to it. The primetime matchups. Sunday Night Football. We're going back to the days of the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. Cowboys versus 49ers. And I gotta tell you, Dallas may have the defense, but I think the Niners are just a very well-oiled machine. They got all those weapons on the offense. Brock Purdy is becoming a stud with every game he's in. The Niners have their own stingy defense led by Bosa. So, really, what it's going to come down to is Dak Prescott, you need to have a nearly flawless game. Like, the sack can be unavoidable, but don't turn the ball over, not once, or I think the Niners are going to win. Just one time. If you turn that ball over once, Dak and Dallas company, your night's done. Because it ain't going to take much to fire up that team. And they get any kind of momentum, it's going to be a long night for you, Cowboys. So you better hope that defense can show up and not just shut down the 49er offense. You're going to have to, tear them apart, because a few nips and bruises isn't going to do anything. Because, like I said, Brock Purdy and this 49ers team seem to got it figured out. And that's got me on high alert and should for the rest of the NFL. All right. The last game, probably really not much to mention. It's the Green Bay Packers at the Las Vegas Raiders. And all I have to say is there's nothing really interesting about this matchup at all. At least not in my opinion. Unless you want to count Devontae Adams. That would really be about it. But like I said, I'm sure this matchup looked a lot juicier at the beginning of the season before things started playing out. But I don't know what everybody was expecting. You really think Josh McDaniels was going to make the Raiders a primetime must-watch team for television or internet? Get the fuck real. That's like, if Mark Davis has any sense, and I don't think he does, he'll fire Josh McDaniels before the end of the season. Because Josh McDaniels is not head coach. He's too much of a dick. He's too much of a twit. This guy's a better offensive coordinator, but only for New England. He sucks everywhere else. And as for the Packers, well, things aren't looking fun for you anymore, are they? I mean, you guys got your butts handed to you by Detroit. Your offense is looking kind of lackluster. I don't really know much about the defensive woes. So, yeah, I really don't see this game being must-watch TV. Like, this is going to be one Monday night game y'all can just look over, because I don't think there's anything to see here. But that's just my opinion. Alrighty. I would touch in on some of the Major League Baseball division games going on right now, but I'm going to hold off on that to see what happens after, like, the weekend or something. And maybe I'll recap a little. Probably tomorrow after the Eagles game, or Monday, Tuesday. I'm definitely going to try to start aiming for, like, Tuesdays to start doing these videos and uploading them. So either by, like, Tuesday evening or Wednesday morning, I'm going to try and start getting on a bit of a schedule here. Because doing this shit at random, it kind of wears you down, but it's really hard to schedule with the way things are at work. Physically demanding job and all that stuff. But, I'm not here to, oh, woe is me thing. So there we are. There's my retake on the Bears and the Commanders and what's going to go on for tomorrow. And last, you know what? I will touch a little bit into Major League Baseball because I'm excited. Because as of right now, where we're at, the Phillies have a 2-0 lead on the Braves. So I'm hoping they can do it again, knock off Atlanta, and get back to the World Series. I mean, not to get ahead of myself, because still going to be 4 other games. They have to, just 2? It's a best of 5. So, yeah, they got to win 3 games. At best, they got to win 3 games to move on to the NLCS. And we'll go from there. Like I said, I think whoever comes out of it, Phillies, Braves, they will face the Diamondbacks. I just don't think the Dodgers have the pitching. I really don't. I hate to doubt Kershaw, but let's be honest. That guy has not really been solid in the postseason. And he's definitely wearing down with age. Recapping some of the ALDS action real quick. The Rangers took Game 1 in Baltimore I have not looked at any of the statistics yet on that, but the score alone just kind of shocked me. It's like, man, what do the Rangers have going on that I'm not hearing about? Because everybody's always talking about Baltimore, but none about Texas. And then finally, you got the Twins battling the Astros. Last I looked, it was close. Twins were trailing 6-4, but again, it's only the first day of, it's only game one for all these matchups, so who knows what's going to happen. All right. My voice is starting to get raw. I'm going to wrap this up. So have a good weekend, everybody. Hopefully a lot of the games turn out interesting. Let's go, Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. And dancing on my own Phillies.